Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you've had a nice holidays and a nice Christmas. I mean, New Year's Eve is it feels like a new start somehow, even though, I mean, it used to feel a lot more like a new start. Now it's kind of like, no, I think we made some promises to each other a few days before New Year's. It's like, okay, this year we're going to focus on this. But there is this feeling like a new year, and there's something like a new fresh start, kind of. I think people often come into the new year with wanting to do something different. They want to have change. They want something to be different. Hey, Jethro, Happy New Year. And so it's very easy to think, okay, I'm going to start now, and then we go into it, and we really, like, for instance, I'm assuming you want to start meditating more. You go in and you start meditating more, and you really try to focus on your practice, and you're really severe. And I would quite often have people who said, like, yeah, I meditate 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, and 1 hour during lunch break. And I don't watch any social media, don't do anything else. I just focus on my practice. And they would say things like that. And I said, how long have you been doing that? It's like, yeah, I've done it for 2 weeks now, or a week. And it's doing it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3. That's not, I mean, that's just to get started. What you really want is something that is sustainable and that you can keep doing for a long time. And people tend to go too hard when they start something like this. Hey, Nicole. Happy New Year to you as well. So it's if you're thinking about starting a practice for after New Year, I mean now, for the new year, then I highly recommend you to do something that is reasonable. Hey, Nadia, nice to see you. Instead of thinking that, okay, I'm going to do... Oops, oh, sorry about that. Instead of saying that you're going to do, like I said, 3 hours per day, which, I mean, that's absolutely doable. It's just that, are you able to make that work with your lifestyle? And as soon as we fail, as soon as we're not able to keep up with our promises, we start feeling bad, and we feel like a failure, and like, okay, I suck at this stuff, and it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Maybe you started out and you started like going better, and then it goes down, and you think, okay, I'm doing something wrong. I should switch technique. I should switch like where I'm sitting, or maybe I should switch my star sign so that things work better. But there's just be like reasonable with your expectations and with your commitment of time, and really make it into something that you can do. Because it is a good start, so why not start with something? Hey, Christian. God fortsättning. Happy New Year to you as well. It is fun. I think the sustainability of a practice is something I have that, and I think many of you have it also, that I tend to, when I feel motivated, then practicing makes so much sense. It makes so much sense that before I go to bed, I should do my yoga practice. I should do the stretching, because I know that I sleep better when I do it. I know my body feels better when I do it, and I know that it helps me. Meditation is something that's not really a struggle anymore, because it's just so natural. I just sit down in the sofa or like on the floor. If I don't sit on the floor and I sit on the sofa, I still start meditating. It doesn't matter. Like, it just happens. So I can't really stop that. But especially with my yoga. Hey, Sue, nice to see you. Thank you for last time. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So you're motivated, and you go in and you start doing your yoga practice, your meditation practice, and you just like, oh, I'm doing it. It's going so well. And then it usually ends with getting a cold, with getting sick, or like too much at work, or some kind of other trouble, or something happens that you kind of break that pattern. And then we lose it, and it falls apart. So it is much better to have a practice that's sustainable and at a level that you can actually keep on going with. Hey, Mats, nice to see you. Happy New Year to you as well. Then doing something that is outside of what's reasonable. What would you say is reasonable? I mean, for the people watching now, what's reasonable for you with how much time commitment you can spend meditating per day for like this coming year? Like, what would be something that you actually are able to do, would you say? Or even better, what are you doing now? There's always this delay. I say something, you hear it, and then it takes time for you to type your answer, and then it takes out the time. There are some people who make the point that, okay, unless you do 1 hour in a sitting, it's pointless. Like, I don't disagree with that. I would say that 20 minutes to half an hour, that's awesome. I think I believe that's the sweet spot for most people. I think if you do like 1 minute, I wouldn't even call that meditation for most people. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, is like, that's just calming down or like taking a break. But it's not really getting into meditation. If you want something, I do 20 minutes every morning, but struggle to do night too. Says Nicole. Mats, probably around 30 minutes. Yeah, that's a good time. I try to do that twice a day, but usually only manage 20 minutes to sit. I think for most people that I work with, and for most people who live a normal life, 20 to 30 minutes is an amount of time that most people can commit to. It is enough so that you actually are able to get into the meditation. The more experienced you are, the less time you need. I had one meditation teacher who used to say, like, it just takes 1 hour for me to get into my meditation. And it really is a matter of the more you practice, the more you get used to, and the body just calms down. Like, as soon as I cross my legs and I sit down, it's like that. I'm starting to meditate. I have trouble sometimes not closing my eyes because my eyelids just start falling down and I start to meditate. So the more you practice, so 29 minutes times 2, that's a really good time. Christian, I had a weird dream where there were a trend on YouTube to meditate really fast and begging. That sounds like an awesome technique. Bragging about it, okay. I missed my point. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the more experienced you are, the easier it will be to start a meditation practice. I mean, start your meditation. So then you need less time in a sense. But the more of a beginner you are, the more time you need. And I think 20 minutes for most people is enough so that you can sit down, you can let go of most of the things, and you can actually become here. My fiance always says that I want to come back to myself. For me, like, I don't use terms like that. So for me, that doesn't really make sense. But I asked her and she says, yeah, come back to myself means that I'm not off in my thoughts somewhere else, thinking about things I need to do or thinking about this and that. I come back to myself. Basically, she means becoming centered, becoming here and now. But she calls it coming back to herself. Her true self is a term that some people use. And I think 20 minutes is an amount of time that most people can get into that state of meditation without having to brag about it. The fan noise. Oh, sorry. Mats is my tech support. Just put that down. I have Okay, am I back again? I think I am. I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I blame Mats for that one. That was I've never had that happen before. There's a software that I use for like streaming. I have the camera and the microphone and everything. It goes through a software, and for some reason when I change the fan profile, it's like the power profile, so it's like uses less electricity and becomes more quiet. It crashed. So yeah, that happened, but that's fine. What was I talking about? Was it anything important? I think it was about sitting. There's a natural cycle to how long you sit. Timers, yes, timers. It's good to have timers in the beginning. Set a time. This is how long I'm going to sit, and just be okay with that. Like, don't feel like you're doing it better if you're able to sit 5 minutes more. Like that. It's not about how long you sit. It's about what you're able to do when you sit, and with that I don't mean how calm you get. I mean with how much you're able to let go of the distortions of these things that make you feel bad, and actually coming back to yourself and start feeling good again, and then bringing that into your daily life and noticing, hey, wait a minute, I'm walking around in a shitty mood. I'm angry with everyone. I'm grumpy. I don't want to live my life this way, and you're able to choose to not fall into that. Yeah, Mats. Hayabaya, like we say in Sweden. So just make a realistic and really make a commitment to that. I have a hard time motivating. That's one of the reasons why I've been doing these interviews with people where I sit and have people tell me their whole story, why they meditate and what they're wanting to get from it, because it's almost difficult for me to understand why you would need to be motivated to meditate, because it's just so obvious. Of course it is. Just sit. I mean, I usually say, just trust me, bro. Like, just sit. I promise you, I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but it will be for the better. Sometimes it actually gets a little bit worse because you go through things come up. I've had it that people have things that they've been pushing down, and they're like, oh, the thought of actually relaxing and letting that come up, that can be really difficult, but very likely that causes a lot of stress inside of you, physical and mental. So you need to eventually have that come up and deal with it. But ultimately, it is good for you. Nadia, 20 minutes is enough. I struggle to meditate even twice per week at the moment. And that's also a thing. I think we need to have different practices. With the course that I'm planning now, I want to have 3 different techniques. I want to have the sitting with the counting, because it's such an easy technique. I want to have something called a body scan, where you scan through the body, and it's a really good way to use for going to bed and sleeping. It relaxes you physically very well. And then there's another technique called walking meditation, which is one of my favorite techniques. We used to always in the centers mix. At least in most centers, there were some centers that just did sitting, but normally you would sit an hour, walk an hour, sit an hour, walk an hour, sit an hour, walk an hour. Like you did that the whole time, and it makes the sitting so much better, and it improves the walking when you sit. Like they go together. So walking meditation is really good when you're having a hard time to sit. If you're having problems meditating twice per week, doing walking meditation is really good, because it helps when the mind just doesn't want to sit on the cushion and meditate. And if you really want to make your sitting meditation better, I would recommend you to do walking meditation for just 5 or 10 minutes before. And I have a special way. It's called the 8-step lotus walking meditation, and it's a way that you walk. And there's some nuances to it that makes it really simple to do in a small apartment. You don't need a lot of space, and it really works well doing it inside. Or you can just go outside, and there's different techniques for doing when you're walking. But combining them helps. So if you're having a hard time just sitting at all, Nadia, I highly recommend you to do walking meditation. It brings you to a state where it will be easier to sit and close your eyes. Many times I find that walking just... there's something about it that just really, because they're physical movement. When you're sitting here, this can be difficult, because then you close everything and it's calm, and then you go, oh, the mind, distortions, going everywhere. But when you're walking, there's movement, there's a flow to things, and it's easier to focus on that movement, because it's something physical. It's not just this thing that starts and being like the main thing. So also people who suffer from anxiety or depression, it can be really good to do walking meditation. It's just much easier to to walk with those difficult emotions than sitting with them. Mats, I find starting walking meditation easier than sitting meditation. Way less discipline required to being for me. Yeah, it is. And it feels more because you're actually out taking a walk. It's just a difference in how you're focusing. And I would say pace also. You wouldn't be walking, like you can see the opposite is if you walk in a city. I always see this when I see people walk, and they're being pulled from their stomach. They're just like, what's that one movie? Donnie Darko. Have you seen that one? I like, that's exactly what it feels like when you're being pulled by your distortion. There's like a sense in your stomach, and it's just pulling you along, and you can barely. So I need to be there. I need to do this, and it's just pulling you around. So that's not the kind of walking we're trying to do. It's another kind. We can. Yeah, I'll have to do something about that. I don't think I've done a video about walking meditation, and it will be part of the course for sure, because I think it's a really, really useful technique, and it helps a lot. Nadia, it's more a time issue, finding the time to do it. that I can relate to as well. What I do sometimes, because do you ever watch TV? Do you sit down in front of the TV to watch something? What I do sometimes is I'll sit and watch something and I just start meditating while I'm watching, because I can find the sounds from the TV to be very soothing and relaxing. Kind of like a guided meditation, even though I don't pay attention to what they're saying. So you could try to do your meditation while you're watching TV. Jethro, on a retreat, I snuck off during walking meditation and did some mindful jumping on a trampoline I found hidden away in the gardens. Absolutely. There's nothing that you can or can't do. You can have mindful sex. It's like there is this idea that like this is pure, this is... No, like just movement, like being aware. And that's ultimately what we want to do, is bring our awareness into our daily life. And really when you start feeling more non-centric, when you feel less of this like I am here, everything becomes aware. Like you will have stronger awareness when you're walking around than when you're sitting, because you're just so aware of everything around you. It's just and then that's when life becomes, everything is just sparkly, and it's like, wow, it's incredible to just look at everything. And with the things that I try to describe with the reflections and the nuances and textures, and you can hear textures and sound, and it's almost like you can touch sound. It's like everything becomes so solid, so calm, and so still. And that's not because you're sitting and closing your eyes. It's just that we have this image of that's what you're supposed to do. And it's much easier to get lost in jumping on a trampoline than it is to do walking meditation or sitting. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. If that would be your only practice, then yeah, very likely you would miss being aware while doing it, unless you're really skilled at doing that. Sue, yeah, I know. I started with 5 minutes once a day and built it up over a year. I am lucky as I work from home running a doggy daycare, so I fit in when they have a nap time. Awesome. I mean, that's a really... It's just finding moments when you can sit. And when I say 20 minutes is the best, it's sort of the sweet spot. It's just that that's if you have a scheduled time when you sit down. If you don't have that, then you take whatever you have. One of the things that I tell people when they want to start practicing is that if you have a time set, I'm going to sit every evening, then try to set a time when you do that. If you have kids and it's not possible, fine. Make it a span between 8 and 9 or after I put the kids to bed. Now, if you have one night you're just so tired you can't do it, just sit 1 minute. Just sit down 1 minute. Go to the bathroom, poop your ass out, and just sit there and meditate. Just focus for 1 minute when you're sitting on the toilet, because then you won't feel I'm a failure. Oh, I missed it. I was supposed to continue and I failed. Like, no, you set 1 minute, so you actually set. So it's the consistency that makes it easier to continue, and then eventually it just becomes easier. We're going to start meditating. I'm just going to finish these questions or comments. Christian, washing dishes by hand is my mindfulness practice. I can't take the sink with me to work though. Yeah, I get that. I've started cooking again. I used to love cooking before, but when I got burnt out, it just stressed me out too much. And lately I've been starting to cook again, and I love it. It's so soothing to feel the flavors and everything just hit your face, and just like grinding pepper. Oh my goodness, the smells. And I made butter chicken the other day. Oh, the smells in the room. And today I made homemade potato gratin that was in my Dutch oven, and like the smells, and just like seeing the texture when you're stirring it, and just taking your time. And then cleaning. I really enjoy cleaning while I make it, and just having a clean space around me, fixing the pots, frying. And then we have chicken, and I fried the chicken, and I put the garlic and thyme, and then lots of butter, and I like really made it like golden, and then a sauce from that, and it was just like, oh, it was so nice. Oh my goodness. And really enjoying that. And taking your time to do whatever you do. Jethro, Christian S, but how quickly can you wash up? Now that's the real question. Awesome. Let's sit. For those of you who are new, we usually have a little chat like this before, and then after that we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, where we focus on 5 things we can see, 4 things we can touch, 3 things we can hear, 2 things that we can smell and 1 thing that we can taste. And it's all about coming back to our senses. Today it's a little bit late, so I won't go through it too much detail, but just follow along with me and say out 5 things aloud that you can see, etc. And then we sit for 20 minutes, and there's a short question and answer after if anyone's had anything that come up that they want to bring up. Have you found that too much meditation causes insomnia and anxiety? I have. When I cut back, it gets better, but meditation makes me feel very energized. Yes, sometimes it can make it more difficult to sleep after you meditate. That's usually a passing thing. That's not a permanent thing. Just because it's like that now doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever. But there are periods when it's really difficult to sleep after I meditate. Nadia, I'm hungry now. Yeah, if everyone was closer, I'd make a big meal and we'd just eat something. Oh, I love making food. Okay, so 5 things that I can see. I can see the reflection of a lamp in my telephone. And we're looking for reflections, surfaces, textures, colors, not objects and ideas and about that. We're just trying to see what it is. Like we're actually seeing the pure, how should I put this? Like it would be like comparing a car built out of Lego. But instead of seeing the car, you just see the small pieces. That's what we're aiming for. You could break off that piece and it's just a piece. And then you put it in there and all of a sudden it's a car. It's still that piece there and you could see that piece because you know it's a piece. It's kind of similar to that we're doing. So the reflections on my telephone, I see a white lamp. I see a spotlight. I'm looking at the curved edge of the spotlight. I'm looking at the reflection inside, the silvery. I'm looking at the ring around it. I'm looking at the halo that takes. I have these square, what do I call them? Square sound isolation things on the ceiling. And the light, there's a halo around it. I see a snowflake thingy in front of me. And I see red light. So there are 5 things that I could see. Obviously you say things you can see. Try to say it out loud because we're trying to really stop and be aware of what it is we're seeing. It's not about doing them. It's not about how quickly you can do the dishes. It's about how aware you are of what you're actually doing. It would be better to be doing 1 fork the whole time than actually doing the dishes. Actually, I think my fiance would disagree. But for this meditation, that's what we're aiming for. So 4 things that I can feel. I can feel the stubble of my beard. I can feel the warmth of my cup. Oh, it's a bit cold here. This is cold. And this is warm. And it's not just the heat, it's the glossiness. I can feel how slippery this material is. I can feel how smooth and soft hard the surface is. I can feel my brass, I think it's brass at least, metal, ringing bell. I can feel my woolen sofa. I love feeling my woolen sofa. It's so interesting to feel. There's so much sensation. There was 4 things I could feel. Now we take 3 things that we can hear. I can hear and look for not just the first obvious sound, but really look for, or if you hear a sound, look for nuances and details in that sound. I hear it's snowing outside, I think. There's like the wind and it feels like it's blowing against my window. I can hear the wind. I can hear that damn fan. Mats, make it quieter. There's 3 things that I could hear. 2 things that I can smell. Yeah, smell is the next one. Oh, I could actually do this. This smells metal. There's a really strong metal smell to it. And let's see if I smell something else. Yeah, the metal smell is really taking over. It touched my nose. Oh, there's a little whiff of my bad breath. Finally, one thing that we can taste. Taste my rooibos tea. you're stopping your meditation, you feel free to continue. But if you're opening your eyes again, then look around you and look at one of the things you looked at before. See if you can see more beauty in the thing you saw, more like, whew, it's there, like, wow, that's really interesting to look at. Then feel one of the things you felt before. See if you can feel the difference and notice, what does that feel like now after you've spent 20 minutes honing your senses to be aware of what's happening to your senses. Then listen for a sound. Does it feel more relaxed when you're listening? Is there less tension? What does it feel like? And then go on to smell. What can you smell around you? I finish off with tasting. Because it really is, this is why we're meditating. We want to be more present with our senses, more able to enjoy our senses, what we're experiencing. We're so busy trying to create the perfect story, trying to make things align the way they should, because it's very important. But we're really bad at experiencing our experience of our life. Like, what's actually happening now? What am I experiencing? We tend to focus on I am on vacation. Wow, it's amazing. I am here in this beautiful place. Instead of right now, you're just sitting on a plane. There's sounds, there's things happening. Right now, there's the feeling of warm air on your chins, and you can feel the breeze, hear sounds you're not used to hearing, and smell things you're not used to smelling. It feels fresh. It feels new. And that same feeling you can have at home. There's no difference. It's just that you don't have so much distortion, so many connections to the things around you. So that's what we're trying to come closer to. Let's see. We were going to feed Nadia. And then Sue is saying, I found that if I don't have meditation, I start becoming very anxious. Yeah, it's also a thing that can happen. Meditation isn't like this. It's not like I meditate, oh, it's getting better. Every time I meditate, I get calmer. And like, no, many times it goes up, and then it can go down sometimes, and it can go really down, because like I said, things can come up. So it changes. But on the whole, it should be like this, meaning a span where it's going up. Mats is saying, thanks for the meditation. I'll head off early today. Already keep falling asleep constantly during the sitting. Have a great night, everyone. You too, Mats. Nice to have you here. Happy you were able to keep your eyes up. I'm actually really tired as well. So, does anyone have anything they have on their mind before we finish up for today? It's really nice to see everyone again, by the way. And I'm sorry about Monday. Just couldn't make it. So it's nice to be back. It feels like, oh, I'm home again. We should have a mindful cooking class one day. It's really, I've thought about this. Like, you could do, like, being aware while you're cooking. You could, that would be an interesting cooking show. There must be someone who's doing like mindful cooking or something like that. That sounds too good for no one to have tried it before. But that would be, yeah, I would really enjoy that. Oh, it would be fun. I'll see if, the problem is filming it. It takes a lot of effort to film that properly. But maybe. Okay, everyone's quiet. I'm assuming everyone had a good sit, or maybe you're still sitting. I really enjoyed tonight, like I always do. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again on Monday. For this weekend, remember what we said, that it's all about what comes after the sitting. It's not actually about the sitting. And if you don't currently have a practice routine that you're doing daily, consider maybe starting one. It is a new year. It's a good time to start one. Choose something that you're going to try to do every day for the next month. Like, just try a month. Like, it doesn't have to continue. You're not trying it for the whole year. You're just trying it for a month. That takes some of the pressure away, and just see what it's like to sit every day for that period of time. Nicole Bray, this sounds great. Go for it. Yeah, I'll have to try that one time. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you on Monday.